Today, we're talking about whether or not you should switch from a wood stove to a pellet stove in your hot tent. So I was going through my collection because hot tent season is just about here. And it turns out I have 8 pellet stoves for hot tents. I have hundreds and hundreds of hours into testing these stoves. Actually, that one from shithitsthefan.com, I have hundreds and hundreds of hours into testing just that one alone. I have put a lot of time into this stove. I put a lot of time into all these stoves to make sure they work properly before I tell you about them. But are pellet stoves a safer option for you in your hot tent? Is it a better option for you in your hot tent? Or should you just forget about pellet stoves altogether? Well, I'm going to be answering those questions in this video. So let's get these pellet stoves lit and burning and then crack a beer. Now, I've said this many times before, but if you aren't lighting your stoves and fires with a flamethrower, you're doing it wrong. That's going. Forest fire count 1. That's not funny. So I want to start off by saying, if you have any kind of heat source in your tent, you want a carbon monoxide and a smoke detector in your tent, especially with pellet stoves. They are finicky. A lot of the times, the fire can go up into the hopper, causing a backdraft, and you need something just in case that happens if you plan on using them while you're sleeping. And that's probably the biggest con of pellet stoves that I've found through all of my testing, that they're finicky. There can be problems with them, and you need to test them out fully before you take them out in the field and be comfortable with them and have a scapegoat just in case. Smoke detectors take seconds to go off if your tent fills with smoke. Carbon monoxide detectors take up to 12 minutes to go off if your tent fills with smoke. I've actually tested carbon monoxide detectors and smoke detectors inside of a tent in a backdraft scenario, and I'll leave that video down below if you guys are interested. Go check that out. But if you have any sort of heat source, please be safe and have a smoke detector and carbon monoxide detector. So why should you think about switching from a wood stove to a pellet stove? Pretty much everywhere I go in the wintertime to go camping, I need to bring wood. There's always at least a few inches of snow, if not feet of snow, so finding wood is kind of hard. And if you do find wood, most of the time it's going to be wet because it's snowing or raining, depending on... Burn count 1. That's hot. I'm kind of surrounded by hot, but I guess I got to deal with it. Pellet stove video without being burned wasn't in the cards. So most of the time I need to buy wood. And bagged firewood is getting expensive. Some places it's $7, $8, $9, even $10 for a bag of firewood. A bag of pellets is between $5 and $7, I found. A much cheaper alternative to buying wood. First pro for pellet stoves, cheaper fuel. Most of the time I need to buy fuel and bring it with me anyways, so you might as well bring pellets. For the most part, pellet stoves have a pretty big hopper. Pro number 2. So you get hours of burn time without having to refill your wood. This one specifically, this one and that one, my 2 largest pellet stoves, will get between 10 and 16 hours of burn time depending on the settings that you have the stove set to. That is outrageous. I don't know of a wood stove that gets that kind of burn time, but pellet stoves will. Pellet stoves can. Now, pellet stoves come in all shapes and sizes. Right here is one style of pellet stove where you have a chamber where the fire goes around the top and the whole top gets hit by fire. On all of them, the fire goes around and then out through the chimney. And then you have your straight up the pipe style pellet stoves. Right here, there's one of them. Here's another one, and then here's one. Now these 3 styles are the least heat efficient. For the most part, a lot of the heat goes right up through the flue and out your tent. With these ones in front, it collects on the top and radiates heat. If you have glass on any of them, the glass on pellet stoves throw heat so much, it's incredible. The draft stove over there has 4 sheets of glass in it, and it throws heat from all 4 of them, let alone the huge cooking surface and heat exchange surface on the top where the fire goes across the whole top and then out through the flue. That is a great stove right there. Now, I did say that this one goes right up the flue, which is true, but this one has glass on 3 sides, and it throws a whole lot of heat. This one I'm just starting my testing on. Obviously, it's a pizza oven, but I'm putting it in a hot tent stove. You heard it here first, and that's going to happen in a couple weeks. Stay tuned for that video. Now, this stove from shithitsthefan.com is a whole different ball game. That will be in a different video. So like I said, pellet stoves come in all different shapes and sizes. They could be good and they could be bad. I have woken up in the middle of the night with my tent full of smoke. During my testing, I've had hoppers fill up with smoke. So you really need to thoroughly test out your pellet stoves before you take them into the field and trap yourself inside of a tent with them. Always, always, always have a smoke detector and a carbon monoxide detector. That's probably the 5th time I said it in this video, but I highly recommend anybody putting a stove in your tent or a heat source in your tent, just be safe. There's also pellet stoves that will take 2 types of fuel. You can put pellets in them or wood. The giraffe stove, the butterfly stove, the Hori 5, and the Shit Hits the Fan stove over there will all accept wood. Actually, this one here will accept, nope, both of these will accept wood too. They're just not as efficient as the other ones. So I guess all of the pellet stoves I have, with the exception of that one over there, the glass patio heater right there, they'll all accept wood or pellets. Just some are better at burning wood than others. And some will accept more wood than others. That's what she said. Like your mom. I'm sorry, that's the only mom joke in this video. I'm sorry, that was too good. I wish I thought of it right off the bat, but it came in second. I'm really interested to see how this pizza oven's gonna do in a hot tent. If you can cook in a pizza oven and heat your tent, I think that's pretty freaking cool. Let me know if you guys have switched from a wood stove to a pellet stove in your tents, and let me know what you think after the switch you made, whether or not it was worth the switch. If you also find pellet stoves finicky and problematic, or if you love every aspect of it in general, let me know down below. If you're interested, right here's going to be a video on my least favorite pellet stoves, and right here's a video of my favorite pellet stoves. Thanks a lot for watching this Should You Switch to Pellet Stoves video. See you guys in the next one. I mean, you really can't beat the burn time, guys. Just be careful.